charity, and also do quite a lot of praying, which we have seen, which we have witnessed. If you live in a neighborhood where there are where the mosques, you clearly know that the Muslims don't play around when it comes to prayers. And again, of course, we know that in the entire year we have two Eids for the Muslims. That's the Eid al-Adha and the Eid al-Fitr. But also somebody was telling me the best way to celebrate Eid with your Muslim friend, probably gift them and also honor their invitation. When they call you up, please do what you're supposed to do and come back. And also it doesn't hurt for you when you meet a Muslim brother or a Muslim sister on your way to work or in your neighborhood, you could actually say Eid Mubarak, which actually means a blessings to you on this Eid. So whether you are Christian or not, it won't hurt, it won't take away any single self from you to just say Eid, Eid Mubarak to your counterpart, your brother and your sister. Wherever they are right now, they're in deep celebrations. They have been planning this, I will tell you for sure. And definitely we would just want to wish you the best of the best as you're celebrating this day.
Well, a lot of celebrations around Eid actually for me is the fact that they also do communal prayers actually, which they call Salat. That means that most Muslims are going around also extending prayers to whether you're a Muslim or not to make sure that everyone is fine. And obviously I think one act, like you mentioned, giving gifts. So even when you are invited to go to someone's home for Eid, please do carry a gift, because we know that our Muslim brothers are the best at giving back, and they will bring that gift even when you invite them for your parties. So please do carry one in the spirit of supporting them in zakat, the giving back into the community. Also be able to actually give them something, because they extend these prayers even to everyone else who is not Muslim. So I think that for me, I already have an invitation actually for Eid today, and I'm looking around to see whether I'll be able to get the perfect gift to actually take there, because I don't believe that it's formal for you to just come to someone's Eid celebrations and you're just there. So I do think that this is something that we should take on for today.
I am. Invitations.
I am. Yeah,
are you willing to honor all the invitations?
Yeah, I think
if you receive more than one.
More than one?
Yes.
That would be difficult. That would be difficult. But you can divide around your schedule. Like be there somewhere up to maybe like 2 and then move on. So that everyone feels like, okay, we are engaging you. But I don't know. I don't know about that. But so far I have one. Although I'm still welcoming more invitations. I mean, it would be nice to know that someone wanted you there, even if you don't make it. But don't take advantage of that and then invite me to parties I cannot go to, because I already have an invitation. We have Muslim colleagues actually on the team, and
yes.
I'm still waiting to see whether
what happens.
Like Fakul will invite me. There is, Jamil. Those guys should be inviting us right now.
Well, you can also be part of the celebrations, and you send in your Eid greetings, you send in your Eid message to your, fellow Muslims, and you use the hashtag UBCGMU right here on Good Morning Uganda. We'll be able, of course, to share your greetings and your messages, and of course that is on Twitter. But you can also send your message on our WhatsApp number, which is 0709 602 592 0706 0602 592. And speaking of messages, we have one coming in from Swale who says thank you so much for the show, and he's saying assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh, Eid Mubarak to, of course, his parents, which I think is a very, very nice message over there. So you can be part of it and engage in the celebrations. It's a public holiday after all, and this is the main event we are celebrating today. We'll be, of course, taking part of the celebrations as well by showing you what's happening in our prayer places or the mosques around Kampala. We have our people on ground, and not far from now we'll be giving you all the details what's happening over there. We're streaming live, by the way, on YouTube, so you can be able to catch up with all these as we go on and on and on, myself and Mollen over here. But Mollen, also just maybe just to take you through, I know this holds quite a heavy significance for the for the Muslims. I know that it's their day. It says much about their their religion. But also as Christians, I believe there are certain things we can pick from the Muslims over here. Like I did say at the start, the commitment that I have seen from the Muslim community is very, very serious. And the fact that they are really, really fully engaged in the charity work, for me, it really blows my mind out. Because when it comes to charity work, they're really big. They are really big. The Muslims go out. And I feel like this is something we should probably pick on. And it's not even just about the Catholics or the Christians in general, just as the human beings. Just do engage yourself in some charitable work. This is something that the Muslims have really fronted, and I believe if we all, you know, took it on, it would be something very huge in our societies, in our communities, because we have a lot of people who will probably survive on this charity. And the moment you come in, the moment you chip in whichever way you can, definitely that would be very, very significant in their lives. And again, it just brings back the humanity that I believe we have lost as the years go by. We're in 2022, but everybody has become so individualistic. People have become so self-centered. It's all about me, probably my children and my family. So engage yourself in some charity work if you have something to spare. I mean, why not? Give it out. There is somebody out there who can actually survive on it.
Yeah. And I think one thing that Muslims have actually kept up and should be, you know, inspirational to the rest of us is the togetherness in the Muslim faith. It's not just the faith that they look at, but you see it even on the streets, or even if you were to go outside Uganda and a Muslim meets another person who is Muslim from anywhere else, the humbleness that they bring with greeting them and relating with them, that kind of togetherness is the teachings in the Muslim faith that we should be borrowing a leaf from. They would find each other somewhere, and they would easily help out. They would easily, you know, lend a hand, and that is something that I think has not been there in the rest of you know, religions, and that is one thing that we should also be taking on. But talking about, you know, some of the cultures that have been done as they do Ramadan or as they celebrate Eid, they also do these communal prayers, like we say the Salat, but at the same time, I think they also do take in important visiting graveyards of people they have lost, and that is something that is also really good to have as a community that, you know, celebrates together. But I think what is also important is what we've been mentioning and talking about, that is the act of zakat, giving back into the community. That is the one thing that Muslims have really been very prominent in, and one thing that we should also be doing. Because you see, even when you're less privileged, there is always that something that you can give out to someone who is not as privileged as you. And people have always taken it to be key that people who give back, actually people that have, or people that are wealthy. Anyone that has something to give, you can always give out, whether you're healthy or not, because it's an act that shows that, you know, you're also tracing back to, you know, being you know, a prayerful person, being someone who believes in God, who knows that there are people who are not as privileged as you. So it's good to give back, and I think that is one thing that we should all be taking upon. But also, we know that Muslims are very good with prayers. They are very good with and committed to that. A Muslim will pray morning. I think they have 5 prayers in a day. Yeah, that kind of commitment I have not seen in Christian faith. Being able to do all those prayers, and they're always committed. They do it. Someone will just kneel on the side of the road to make sure they have their prayer time, you know, recognized, and they always do that. And to me, that is commendable, and that is something that we should all be doing. Unfortunately, we all don't get to do the 5 prayers, but the good thing is that this is something that we can also take on. Even the 2 prayers that maybe most Christians do in the morning and evening, or maybe if it's a day for prayer, then you have the prayers from church, maybe that's the 3rd time. Not everyone commits to that, and we all know that one way to the Lord is through prayer. So this is something that I've taken on from a Muslim, you know, community, family, and that is something that we should also be taking on. Prayers are key, for sure, and we want to commend them for having done that and show it that something we should also be taking on.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you, Mollen, over there. Well, you can send in your Eid greetings and your Eid messages to your, you know, Muslim brothers and sisters, even to the rest of the world, because I believe we have a lot of lessons we can actually pick from this. Now, there are certain people who are confusing this Eid with the one where we have the slaughtering of animals, and, you know, but sadly for you, it's not that Eid. But this is also another special Eid where you get to celebrate with them. And again, like I was saying, sometimes you just need to equip yourself with information to know more about this day. You don't necessarily have to go back home and relax because it's a public holiday. You need to know the reason why it's actually a public holiday. It may not be a big deal for you, but actually to our Muslim fraternity, it is such a huge deal. And we know that they have done a lot. They've contributed a lot to us as Uganda, as a country, but also to our, given societies and communities. They've done a lot. They've engaged themselves in a lot. So we cannot afford to actually downplay the energy and the power and also, the essence of this public holiday. Well, we'll be giving you a live feed not so far from now, but also we'll be getting into some of the press review to see some of the big stories that made it to our papers, the New Vision, the Daily Monitor, and of course the Daily Nation. We'll be going for a break. When we get back, there'll be more of that.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Get connected today with the My Airtel 4G smartphone and enjoy free data for one whole year worth 86,500 Uganda shillings. That's free 2 GB for the first month and free 1 GB for the next 11 months at only 250,000 Uganda shillings with free data for one whole year worth 86,500 shillings, making the effective price of the 4G phone 163,500 shillings only. Airtel, the smartphone network.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite show.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Coming soon on UBC.
Hey, it's time to play. We're glad you came because we love to share. Come, let's have some fun. With everyone. Because we love to learn together, making new friends forever. We Sesame Street friends.
Even with my grandson, a doctor at my side, I struggled to get the help I needed. But he saw something that day. He began to work day and night. He wouldn't quit, even when people said no. He wouldn't stop fighting. He knew something had to change, and his vision was bigger than anyone could imagine. He made it possible to receive quality medical services anywhere in Uganda by simply using a phone.
This is a story of a regular Ugandan just like you, who harnessed the power of technology to provide a solution for us. How about you tell us your story? UG needs more of you. To share your story, Visit airtel.co.ug/UG needs more of you, or call or SMS 162.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
COVID-19 is still here with us. As Professor Maggie Chigozi states, the time is now for all of us to get vaccinated.
When we have one person who's not vaccinated, it affects everybody around them, most especially the ones close to you. Keep your family safe. Anyone right now who's over 18 should go and get vaccinated.
Because of the new COVID-19 circulating variants like Omicron, it is very important for all of us to be fully vaccinated with 2 doses of the same vaccine type. It's only those getting Johnson & Johnson who receive only a single dose to be fully protected.
Even after vaccination, continue to adhere to all SOPs by wearing a mask properly, covering your mouth and nose, washing your hands regularly with soap and clean water, or using an alcohol-based sanitizer, maintaining physical distance of at least 2 meters from others, and avoiding crowds. Echa COVID-19, chija kugwa. This message is from the Ministry of Health with support from UNICEF and partners.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, in the press review this morning, starting off with the Daily Monitor, the big headline over there: police fire officer overleaked. And the head of CCTV for Kampala Metropolitan South dismissed over alleged leak of a picture of judicial officers' convoy at State House Entebbe. And all the details are on page 4 of the Daily Monitor. Still, in more news, we will take power. Mhozi, and of course healthy living, understanding aphasia, a brain disorder. If you want to know more about that, page 16 is the page for you to look for when you grab yourself the Daily Monitor this morning. And still in more local news, Lukwago attempt to hand Eid gifts to inmates in person fails. And looking at Ukraine, BBC unearths racism against Ugandans. Well, the big picture there is of course about Labour Day that did happen yesterday, where we had His Excellency being the chief guest at the celebrations that happened at Kololo Independence Ground. And he was saying, eat cassava if there is no bread. This is what he was urging Ugandans: get the alternatives if they are readily available. And still in more news, coffee deal has no legal fault, argues the Attorney General Chidiowa. Page 10 and 11 have that story for you. And of course, moving on to the second page of the Daily Monitor this morning, still more news, of course, being unearthed over there, and more details of the story about what happened, especially at the celebrations of the Labour Day, which happened yesterday. And then Uhuru declares 12% increase in minimum wage. Quite interesting. And schools seek government permission to increase fees. And Museveni awards medal to woman who hid the NRA fighters. All that in the Daily Monitor, but also taking a look at what is happening in the New Vision this Monday morning. Mollen.
Well, in the New Vision, we're leading on with a story on development fees, school bus and other contributions to be scrapped off. And that is as government drafts new law on school fees. Now, that story is on the New Vision for this morning. Now, I think this has been a practice in schools. We're always paying for the school bus, year after year. So this is going to actually be scrapped off, and you'll get full details of that story. And also in the New Vision, they give you a picture of President Museveni awarding the 80-year-old Anna Nakampi, who also presented him with a shield. And that is her with a Royal Triangle Medal in appreciation for her support and contribution to the National Resistance Army Liberation struggle. And also on the page 2 of the New Vision, they show you a man right there trying to prepare plates for the Muslims in Owino Market, that is the vendors, during the breaking of the fast on Saturday. That was really an interesting one, and just in the background, more of the Muslim, getting their prayers. But also in the New Vision, they show you how to hedge against coffee prices risks. Well, there's more into the coffee business trends as well, opportunities in business. That is also coming to you on the second page of New Vision. Today in history, they also give you May 2nd, 2001, where a senior police officer was dropped. They're talking about General Katumba. Also there is more to the story as you look at today in history. But also the 2nd of May 2011, Bin Laden was killed. Talking about Osama Bin Laden, 54 years, the leader of and the mastermind behind all the terror attacks in the United States. That is also today in history. Get yourself a copy of the New Vision and get more of those stories and much more on the government to scrap off non-academic fees.
Well, moving on to the Daily Monitor Sports, we look at Mosagala still has work to do. Now, this is in the 5th UAF trials. And of course, there is quite a whole breakdown of all the details there. And again, still dusting boots, Busoga Masaza Cup returns after 2 years. Well, there you go, the big picture showing, and of course more details on this Daily Monitor Sports to if you're a fan and if you're an ardent follower of the Masaza Cup, especially in the Busoga Kingdom. And still in more sports news, rugby Lady Cranes finished 4th in Tunisia, and of course they lost 17 to 15 to host Tunisia in the Africa Women's 7-star Plus playoff. But again, they won. Plaudits back home for giving their all right from day one of the competition, and I think that is worth celebrating, looking at, of course, the most recently concluded rugby sevens for the men. And we did have Uganda qualify for the Rugby World Cup, which will be happening anytime now. Now, Lutelo buoyant after women's Alcorn draw, and this was, of course, still in the rugby sevens. And moving on to the second page, well, Aluka still show at League project launch, and we see the picture over there of Aluka from UCU playing with the Sublime Strike. Very, very, very beautiful. And still Mulindwa success of Chitende Phil's academy structure void. All the details in the Daily Monitor Sports this morning.
Well, crossing over to the New Vision Sport, they are also leading with a story on the winners. That is when it comes to the Uganda Rugby Union. Well, they are in for shillings 1 billion handshake. They give you a picture right there of the Rugby Cranes as they celebrated after winning the Rugby African 7 Championship, which was staged in Kampala. These guys are very soon getting a handshake. And this is by qualifying the men's team to the World Rugby 7 Cup. They will be rewarded by government in the next financial year. Well, this creates a lot of motivation alongside building self-esteem. There is more to that story in the New Vision Sport for this morning. Get yourself a copy and have more on that. Now, also in the New Vision Sport, I am ready to fight it out. Talking about the 2019 National Rally champion Yasin Nasser, who is ready to take the opposition in the Shell v Power Pal of Africa Ugandan Rally on Friday, Saturday and Sunday. Well, he's hailing to that, and of course more is anticipated. Mohozi's 40-year-old and football. Now they're showing you a picture right there of the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Thomas Taiba, sharing a moment with the Chief of Defence Force, General Wilson Mbadi, during a match between MPs and the senior UPDF officials to celebrate the General Mohozi's Kainerugaba 40th birthday. Well, very interesting, and I think more of the pictures right there are really nice to go if you look at the MPs playing against the officials right there. But also taking into a look into the hard work, they're looking at the Vipers, what they have been doing over the years. They also give you Coach Oliveira, that is of the Vipers, and his plans for the team. Police defends the cup, also much more in the New Vision Sport for this morning.
Away from that and taking you to the Daily Nation to see what's happening over there. Uhuru Ruto in another public spot. Now, of course, they have called this Fight of the Titans. Well, and Labor Day goodies for low-wage workers. And they're asking, is the new minimum wage increase enough to cushion millions from poverty? Well, the answers to that question you'll definitely find on pages 4 and 5 of the Daily Nation, and they still give you more highlights. 12% percentage by which the minimum wage rose yesterday from about 3,500 Kenyan shillings to 115,200 Kenyan shillings. Well, we want to see, and we're yet to see how that is going to work out for our Kenyan people over there. And a famine hunger in the north. Of course, only relief food can save lives from now in all these scorched counties of Masabi, Wajir, Turkana in the Kenyan country. And still bringing you more showbiz. Harmonize Omondi fight in Nairobi. The details you can definitely grab in the Daily Nation. And looking at 100 days to polls, 47 apply to vie for president. Well, it is a very serious situation over there in Kenya, and we know they are yet to have a new president or elect a new president. So the countdown has officially started, and everybody is geared up to see who is going to take on this position. Grab yourself the Daily Nation this morning to make sure that you don't miss out on all the details and the stories in the Daily Nation. Well, like I did say, feel free to engage yourself in all these Eid celebrations right here on Good Morning Uganda on UBC TV, where we're coming to you live from Nile Avenue, and we will be able to send out your messages and of course your celebrations as well. You could do that by sending them through our Twitter page, or our Twitter line, and use the hashtag UBCGMU. But also you could go traditional by sending us an SMS text or even a WhatsApp message. We should definitely be able to share all that with the rest of Uganda. And speaking of which, we have to hail Alvin, who says that he's sending his greetings to all his friends and all the Muslim fraternity who are definitely engaging themselves in the celebrations today. And also coming in from Maria Nalongo from Mukono, you're wishing a happy Eid Mubarak to your people, your family, and the entire Muslim fraternity, which I think is really, really great. And we also have another gentleman here saying, he's called Hamza from Lutembe, and he's wishing a happy Eid to all Muslims in Uganda. So you can definitely be part of all these celebrations as well, and you make sure you don't miss out. Christian, non-Christian, and Muslim, it's all the same. We are all Ugandans. But also taking you to the roads this morning, I will say, well, the roads look more or less very clear. It's a public holiday, especially in the areas of Kampala, where we do have quite very, very little traffic. And we have very few people on the roads. Like I was coming actually earlier today to work, the roads were very, very clear compared to other Mondays. The situation that always prevails on these roads was totally different for me this morning, and it is very, very evident even right now as you are heading to Kampala city center. There is nothing for you to worry about, especially Kampala Road. Kampala Road is very, very clear. It's very free. We have very, very few heads on the road, very, very few pedestrians and also motorists. And of course in the surrounding areas, when it comes to the shortcuts, well, there is nothing for you to worry about. You have two options. You could actually use the main road, or you could use all these shortcuts. But also if you're using the side of Wandegea, Bombo Road, Buganda Road, the situation is the same. There is nothing for you to worry about. Bombo Road is very clear, and that is the road you could actually use to leave the city center, or get into the city center, extending to the areas of Wandegea. All that is nothing really for you to worry about. So I could probably say that the roads are more clear. And when it comes to also the lower side of Kampala Road, Entebbe Road, there is of course a few traffic buildups here and there towards the junction that helps you join Kampala Road. And also if you're connecting from Station Road, if you're connecting from Access Road, and all these roads are the ones that collect you right from Mukwano area, and all those roads from Musambia, that is if you're connecting from Makindi Division. So it shouldn't be a big worry for you. But also if you're coming from areas of Nakawa, if you're coming from areas of Chiraka, there is a little bit of traffic build-up here and there. And of course, like I already said, that road is very, very busy. The Jinja Kampala highway is very busy because we have very many cars coming in from the border and carrying very many products. So yes, the traffic is there, but it's actually mobile, so you have nothing to worry about. If you're a Muslim and you're trying to make sure you make it in time for your prayers, and where you're going probably is around Kampala, then it's nothing for you to worry about. But again, that doesn't necessarily mean that you should be late. Well, make sure you prepare yourself. And while you are at it, make sure you're very safe on the road. You are being a responsible driver. You're being a responsible pedestrian. You're being, a responsible motorist, because we don't want to hear very many unfortunate happenings, accidents or anything happen on a day like this. So you just be a little bit more cautious and a little bit more careful to make sure you get to your destination and back home safe and sound. Speaking of safe and sound, I don't know whether we are really safe from the rains. It was quite a very hot Saturday, I'll tell you, Mollen, and considering that it was a Saturday where we had very many functions. Personally, I had a function and I did think we were going to have the rains, but I didn't see the rains anywhere. However, Sunday was a little bit different. Half the day until the evenings, we saw the drizzles coming in and then the coldness. And this morning, the situation hasn't been any different from last evening. So I don't know, are we going to be blessed by some of these showers on this Eid as we're celebrating, as we're wearing our long dresses, our kanzus? Should we carry along the umbrellas? How is the situation looking like?
Well, I don't want to be the spoiler of the day, telling someone this morning who is looking for to celebrate that, guess what, it's going to rain on this day. But obviously, if it is going to rain, I will tell you that it will rain so that you prepare very well. But again, throughout the weekend, actually, depending on the place where you were, there were a lot of rains coming through, and also into the night. And those are usually the good ones, I think, that people would rather have. The ones that rain in the night and then clear off. But we still have more rains coming through, and the season continues. And May is actually, kind of like the peak of the rainy season. But it will also be declining as we head into June, July, which are really dry months. But for now, I'll tell you one thing. If it is a good day and it's quite clear weather, enjoy it, because the rains will be just right on their way. So I don't know. For this Eid, I'll tell you one thing. Just make sure you're well prepared. We'll be tapping into our satellite to see even what is going on real time for now. But we look into what is happening also internationally in terms of climate news. Now, we do know that there has been a raging fire across New Mexico, and so far this has spread to a really, really big area. And so far we have thousands of residents of northern New Mexico villages being evacuated. And this was done on Sunday, where that followed a fierce winds driving into the largest active area of the U.S. as wildfires towards their drought-parched mountain valley. Now, if you look into what has been happening with New Mexico with the entire month of April, is that they have been dealing with wildfires. But now that was fueled by the fact that there was a drought, that is prolonged, periods of dry days. And that is what has been, exaggerating the wildfires there. Now, we do know that the authorities have evacuated residents in the northern area of New Mexico, and that is, of course, in anticipation that even more fires are coming through, because now there are a lot of fierce winds that are also being reported over the area. And, most of the areas that have been, affected, we're talking about at least Taos, New Mexico. Those are the areas that where we do know that most people were actually, evacuated from the area. And there are still fears that these fires could actually be going up as we look at more of the people being evacuated from the area. But also this month has really started off on, a quite scary note for New Mexico, because this drought-driven wildfire is extending so far, exploding into a mega fire of 100,000 acres. That is 157 square miles. That was taken on Saturday and could still be doubling in size, as some of the officials from the ground were reporting. Now, we could be looking at much more of that coming through, and at least one of the hardest that New Mexico has had to go through during this time, and we'll be following up that story. But what we do know is that this is a mega fire that has not been seen in a while since this year started, as they look into more coverage, and as most of the dry days continuing to fuel up with the drought over the area, and that cannot be good news. But while we look into that as well, there are more reports coming through on the temperatures rising, that is across India. And what is interesting is that actually India has been dealing with a lot of rising temperatures. There was a forecast that temperatures could be going to 44 and And it did hit actually, the hottest day in the area, and that is parts of India recording the highest average temperatures on record in April, and the scorching weather is expected to stretch into May. We could be looking at more of those temperatures going up as we head towards May. But while we are at it, we are looking at what is rising these temperatures and why are we having more of extreme temperatures in the atmosphere. Now, a new development shows that methane has been detected. For the first time, we have satellites across the space detecting methane levels. And this was actually in line with one of the livestock farms that actually did bring up much more of those measurements from the space. And I think it's interesting. But well, let's step into our satellites for here in Uganda and take a look at the weather that is happening across the country. And that is in terms of wet activities. We do see more clouds that are developing in terms of southwestern Uganda, parts of West Nile and parts of Central. It looks like much of the country is dealing with cloudy weather, and that is where we will be starting off with our Eid celebrations. Quite cloudy weather. We do have more rains in the forecast, especially for the areas that are close to Lake Victoria and those within parts of Central, where you see the colors that blue and white colors. Those are clouds and most of the rainy systems that are trying to develop over the area. But looking into later in the day, we could be clearing up, and most of the areas that are likely to clear up in terms of wet weather are eastern Uganda, across northern Uganda, Karamoja region. We do see that rainy system that is over the northwestern part of Kenya. Looks like that is headed westwards and could be, coming your way anytime. So that is one to look out for the Karamoja region. However, we do have open skies across Gulu, areas of central northern Uganda. That could be looking at mostly in terms of sunny and cloudy conditions. Quite a pleasant day for you this morning, and more of that clearance might be in the afternoon, where we could be looking at more sunny weather. But for now, it looks like much of the country is dealing with cloudy weather for sure. And even here in Kampala, we do have those clouds building up. We could be looking at more wet weather activities coming in through the day. But at least one thing that I've noticed, even with the system moving forward, is that we will have mostly light rains. We might not be dealing with much of those rains for today. So, well, it's good news, and it's a pleasant start as we celebrate. But you see, also when it's an important day like this, having rains there could mean good luck, could mean, I'm starting to get this whole feel of traditional, behavior. So, yeah, but well, I'll leave you at that. We do have more coming through, and we did mention that we'll have more of the live events. We are connecting for prayers and look into that. I'll leave you at that. Philomena, what do you have for us as we continue to look into the prayers for Eid celebration?
Well, like we did say earlier on, we promised that we'll be giving you a live feed of what's happening. We know the prayers happening in all these different mosques in Kampala, and how the Muslim community particularly has decided to, indulge themselves in their preaching. We'll be running that live.
This is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC, brought to you by
Tulantende ku program obulamu
was brought to you by
Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
COVID-19 is still here with us. As Professor Maggie Chigozi states, the time is now for all of us to get vaccinated.
When we have one person who's not vaccinated, it affects everybody around them, most especially the ones close to you. Keep your family safe. Anyone right now who's over 18 should Go and get vaccinated.
Because of the new COVID-19 circulating variants like Omicron, it is very important for all of us to be fully vaccinated with 2 doses of the same vaccine type. It's only those getting Johnson & Johnson who receive only a single dose to be fully protected.
Even after vaccination, continue to adhere to all SOPs by wearing a mask properly, covering your mouth and nose, washing your hands regularly with soap and clean water or using an alcohol-based sanitizer, maintaining physical distance of at least 2 meters from others and avoiding crowds. Echa COVID-19, chija kugwa. This message is from the Ministry of Health with support from UNICEF and partners.